Go ahead and read this on your own. This time write another comment, and then I'm going to press play, and you can press play and then hear this student read it and then comment on it, and you can compare his comments with yours again.
The house on Mango Street is ours, and we don't have to pay rent to anybody, or share the yard with the people downstairs, or be careful not to make too much noise, and there isn't the landlord banging on the ceiling with the broom. But even so, it's not the house we thought we'd get. Okay, so this first line, the house on Mango Street is ours, probably means that they own the house. So that probably means that they rented everywhere else they stayed. And since she specifically mentions that she doesn't have to deal with a landlord or be quiet all the time or share their yard, that probably means the other places they stayed, that they had to deal with that kind of thing all the time. So that probably means they aren't the most wealthy family. This is probably like the first home they've ever owned, which, I mean, my rent is crazy here. I don't think I could ever own a house in California. But it seems kind of weird because she says, but even so, it's not the house we thought we'd get. So she seems kind of bummed about it, which is weird because you'd think she'd be totally stoked that they actually have a house. I don't know. Why is she not excited about it? That's weird.
Do you see the kind of comments that he's making? Really interacting with the text back and forth, asking questions, making predictions. That's what we want to be doing. Let's do it again. Read this on your own, then stop and write your comments, and when you're ready, click the play button and you can listen to the student do it.
We had to leave fast. We were using the washroom next door and carrying water over in empty milk gallons. That's why Mama and Papa looked for a house, and that's why we moved into the house on Mango Street, far away on the other side of town. The move far away on the other side of town, maybe it was like a really bad part of town, like the slums or something. They always told us that one day we would move into a house, a real house that would be ours for always, so we wouldn't have to move each year. And our house would have running water and pipes that worked. And inside it would have real stairs, not hallway stairs, but stairs like the inside of houses on TV. And we'd have a basement and at least 3 washrooms, so when we took a bath, we wouldn't have to tell everybody. Our house would be white with trees around it. A great big yard and grass growing without a fence. This was a place Papa talked about, and when he held up a lottery ticket, and this was the house Mama dreamed in the stories and she told us before we went to bed. So they've been dreaming of a house for a long time, lottery ticket, bedtime stories. It's really great they got to move and buy their own house. Finally.
Here's the next section of the text. Read it on your own, make your own comment, and when you're ready, listen to the student do the same thing. You can press pause and unpause it when you're ready to go on.
Once when we were living on Loomis, a nun from my school passed by and saw me playing out front. The laundromat downstairs had been boarded up because it had been robbed 2 days before, and the owner had painted on the wood, "Yes, we're open," so as not to lose business. That's sad. That last apartment sounds awful. It must have been like a total shack. "Where do you live?" she asked. "There," I said, pointing up to the 3rd floor. "You live there?" I like the way she writes "there" in italics. There. I can totally feel how ashamed she is of where she lives. There. I had to look to where she pointed. The 3rd floor, the paint peeling, wooden bars Papa had nailed on the windows so we wouldn't fall out. "You live there?" The way she said it made me feel like nothing. There. I lived there. I nodded. And that it was a nun from her school. That's like totally embarrassing to have your teacher see where you live like that.
Okay, this is the last paragraph of the story. Last time, read it on your own, write your comment, and when you're ready, pause and unpause it so you can hear the student do the same thing.
I knew then I had to have a house, a real house, one I could point to. But this isn't it. The house on Mango Street isn't it. For the time being, Mama says. Temporary, says Papa. But I know how those things go. So that moment with the nun at the last place was really important. A real house. But this isn't it. It's not a real house to her. She wants to be proud of her house, and she's not proud of this one. Her mom and dad tell her it's temporary. But she says, but I know how these things go. She sounds totally cynical. Like she doesn't believe they'll ever leave. Actually, she's probably right. But it's sad for a kid to think that way. I wonder if the book will end with her still there. Or deciding that she loves the house. Or maybe she'll move again.
So these were all the things that the students did when they were thinking and reading. They used the title and the facts to make predictions. They looked at details and thought about why the detail was important. They asked questions. They made connections either to the text or personal life to the text. And they used clues from the story to help think about the characters or the story. What did you notice about what the students did in these demonstrations that helped them to better understand the story? In your own words, describe the strategy we just learned, thinking while you're reading. Perhaps pretend like you're explaining it to a friend for the first time. You want to write this down. This is part of your notes. Describe the strategy, thinking while you're reading. Strategy, thinking while you're reading, is very simple. You read a small section of text, stop yourself, and you force yourself to write down a comment. You know the types of comments that you can write. Then you go on and you do the same thing to the next section of text, and you keep working through your text section by section, writing comment after comment. You can do your comments one a page or one every paragraph. It's up to you how many comments you want to write. Let's go back now and revisit our definitions of reading again. This was the definition of reading set out by the National Institute for Literacy. Do you notice this part here? About active strategies to construct meaning from print. So here's what you do next. Get any magazine that's appropriate for a college English class that appeals to you. Read it cover to cover, being sure to think while you read. Put sticky notes on each article with comments, predictions, and thoughts that you make while reading. Try to post at least 3 sticky notes per page or per article. The magazine assignment is due by next class.